In today's video, I'm going to interview somebody who is a big part of our hero community, but more importantly, he is highly successful on Amazon. And I'm inviting him here today to talk about what he has learned on the pathway to building a highly successful business on Amazon. Watch every second of this video because you're going to learn exactly what to do to grow your income on Amazon this year. So let's get straight into it. Rob, it is great to be here with you. I'm so glad that you've agreed to come on today. First things first, if you want to talk a little bit about your Amazon business, like what does it look like? What are the kinds of things that you're selling? And then we're going to get into all the things that you've learned over the years that have helped you become successful. And the goal is to help other people avoid those mistakes you've made as well. So let's talk about your business.
Hey, Stephen, thank you very much for seeing me today. So I've been selling on Amazon for about 5 years now. Started off retail, going into shops and stuff like that, and pivoted my business in lockdown due to not being able to go into stores and stuff like that. We recently hit, or last year, so I know year before now, forget we're in January already. We turned over £500,000 just by using retailers before we'd even considered wholesale. Then made a 50-50 switch. So we're pretty much 50% wholesale, 50% retail at the moment. Turnover for last year was very much the same. It was about 500,000. I was aiming for the million, but I took a significant amount out of the business. So I'd reinvested for years, as long as I
Yeah.
could. But we wanted a bigger house and bigger garden. And, I live just outside of London. And unfortunately, it's not cheap. And you've got things like stamp duty that you've got to pay. As nice as it is to grow the business, it was also nice to use some of the funds for the
Yeah.
family and stuff like that. And we were still able to maintain similar turnover. So pleased with that.
Well, look, nothing wrong with £500,000. And for those of you that are living in the US, that'd be well over $600,000, probably heading for 640,000, something like that. So a big success from you, Rob. And I'm always so impressed by you and delighted you're part of our community. So yeah, what I wanted to get into today was like, if everybody can learn some of the mistakes that you've made over the years, they can take that learning and they can apply it to their own business and have success on their own side by just doing the opposite almost to the things you've done, if you want to call it wrong, over the years. So I thought we'd start there. What would you say? Let's just kick off with the first thing that has been a mistake that you really learned a lot from and ultimately helped you become successful.
The very first thing, going right back to the beginning, was getting a mentor, without a doubt. I faffed around, wasted weeks, potentially even months of watching YouTube videos, and you don't know what's right and what's correct and what people are trying to sort of feed you and the information that's coming out, and you're kind of picking up little bits. And even then, in the very beginning, I was like, right, I know what I'm doing. Set up my Amazon account, got some analyzing software, and then I was gated for everything. Didn't understand what I was looking for. Didn't understand what I was looking at. Didn't understand how to ship things. Just simple things now in the business that I know that I didn't have a clue, and was really struggling to find out and get that kind of solid information. So,
Yeah.
right, I could have saved months of my time by just getting a mentor straight away.
Would you say with the mentor, like it's the fact that, and by the way, just so you guys know when you're watching the video, we didn't plan, literally, I don't know,
Oh
Rob.
no,
Tell me.
absolutely not.
I didn't ask him to say, oh, it's a mentorship or whatever. So, I feel the same way. And so with the mentor, then what was it? Was it the fact that you kind of got feedback on what you were doing, or was it more that you kind of believed you could be successful, but then you were working with someone who was already doing it? Like, what was it about the mentor process that changed your business and changed you maybe as well?
I suppose it was everything about it. It was the information that was given. It was the kind of step-by-step guides. It was being able to see what was possible and what other people in the community were doing.
Yeah.
I didn't know what was possible on Amazon. I was just thinking I'll buy and sell a bit on the side, and yeah, didn't know what was possible until I joined, really. But yeah, just to fast track the information and the support as well.
Well, speaking of support, for those of you watching the video, we do have this new guide that I've put together, which has the three different Amazon business plans, the three different ways you can go about it. We're talking in this interview with Rob actually about retail arbitrage or online arbitrage, and we're talking about wholesale as well. But there's other stuff in that guide. So if you want to pick up that guide, totally free, just comment 100K down in the comments, and we'll make sure to get that over to you as soon as possible. So, that being said, while everyone is commenting 100K, Rob, let's move on to the second mistake that you made then that was so big for you on your path to doing over £500,000 a year?
Not outsourcing early enough. So I got into the swing of it. I was pretty good at sourcing and finding products, but I was still prepping everything myself at home,
Yeah.
and working full time and two young kids. And there was a time where I'd spent the majority of it prepping. There was a week in particular that I'd spent every single evening. So I'd work on my Amazon business every evening after
Yeah.
work. Kids had gone to bed, prepping, and there was a week where I didn't buy anything.
Well,
And
Rob, just sorry to cut you off, but I'm just thinking some people mightn't actually understand like what prepping actually involves. Would you mind just briefly covering that, and then we'll get into why it's such a pain?
so when we buy from retailers or from anywhere really, we can't send it directly to Amazon, so we have to get it sent to ourselves, or what I now know now as prep centers, and we can take them out of the smaller boxes that they come in and put them in one big box. We can put our own barcode label on there that Amazon provide for us, and then we get it shipped in to Amazon. So yeah, it can be very time consuming unpacking lots of boxes, labeling all the boxes, repackaging boxes, weighing them, getting them shipped into Amazon,
Yeah.
and especially when my house was configured as the garage was at the front outside, and had to keep going out to get boxes and packaging and materials and stuff all
Yeah.
over the lounge. And partner Mrs. really wasn't happy with stuff everywhere. So yeah, and I say it was time consuming, and it was taking me away from what I thought was, well, from what was making money in the business, and that was sourcing the products. That was what I was really best at. So I should have outsourced earlier, and I think I could have sourced more, got more products in.
Yeah, specifically then, just to be clear, you're talking about you should have outsourced the prepping of the goods rather
Yes.
than the sourcing. So just for those of you watching, if you're not 100% sure, maybe you're new to the channel. By the way, if you are new to the channel, make sure to like the video and subscribe. But what we're talking about there with sourcing is, in the case of online arbitrage, we're going to online stores. We're looking for products that are sold at a discount that are being sold on Amazon at their full price. And so Rob is spending time there looking for those opportunities and actually getting them purchased and getting them in stock on Amazon. So like that's sourcing from that perspective. From a wholesale perspective, similar, but the difference is that we're actually looking for wholesale suppliers. We're opening accounts with those suppliers, and then we're going through the products that they have, and we're identifying what are profitable and what are products that we can get some buy box action on. And if you don't know what any of that means, don't worry, because we've got loads more videos on the channel where we talk about that. So that's clear enough, Rob, that you wouldn't have had other people do all those things for you. Or sorry, you would have other people's prep for you. So that's fine. So then with sourcing, then just to talk about that briefly, would you say, well, that is a mistake then, not sourcing enough, right? Spending too much time doing other things.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, I should have prioritized my time, sourcing more products, and that's really what drives the business is buying the products. And if I'm prepping, I'm not spending my money and finding more products to resell. It can hinder or bottleneck your business.
These are big lessons. Like, so talked about a mentor, we talked about outsourcing our prep earlier. Let's move on to the next piece then. What would you say that was?
Even I suppose it's part two of outsourcing as well.
Yeah.
Money in your bank doesn't earn you money. Okay, money invested in stock earns you money. And again, I'd gotten to a point where I was reinvesting all my profits back into the business, and I was constantly having money left in the bank at the end of the week, which I used to find frustrating because, say, it's not earning me any money in the bank, and I needed to find ways of outsourcing, or getting some help into the business. And I'd read and seen about employing virtual assistants, from overseas to
Yeah.
help in the business. And again, I just I sat on it too long and thought about it for too long. I thought it was a scary process, employing someone, trying to find someone, and yeah, I sat on it for too long. When really, again, I should have invested sooner,
Yeah.
and brought on someone to help me.
I want to go a little bit deeper on this topic, if you don't mind, Rob, because I think it's an interesting one. And a lot of people watching this video likely feel the same way you did at that moment, but in a different way. So here's what I'm talking about. Really, what you're saying is that at that moment in time, right, you knew that investing money into a virtual assistant, which is somebody who will work in Philippines typically and will take over some of the processes in the business for you. By the way, we employ many virtual assistants from there right now, and they're great. But at that time, there was fear. What would you say the fear actually was for you? I don't want to put words in your mouth because I want to see what you actually, if you can put yourself back there, what were you actually afraid of, do you think?
I suppose the commitment, not understanding the process, whether they were going to do a good job. Yeah, wow, I don't know. It's hard to put into words,
Would you,
really.
okay, would you say then, just to kind of nudge in and see, maybe this is not true, right? But would you say that there was a fear deep down of, oh my God, like maybe I'm not producing enough money, or maybe if I put money here, I'm going to lose that money. It's not going to turn into more. So it was like a fear of loss, really, rather than actually saying to yourself, no, this virtual assistant is actually going to make me money. And so I've come into that because I feel like for a lot of people in our community, certainly, this is a fear I see all the time. We hold ourselves back in actually making money because we're focusing on the costs, you know?
Yeah, and it was yeah, exactly that really as well. Can I afford to pay this, every single month? Are they going to produce enough potential opportunities for me to buy? So yeah, there's a lot that runs through your head when you've not done it before.
But then you got over that fear. And
Yes.
what happened on the other side of that fear then? I mean, tell us about your business today. Like that's doing over 600 grand a year in revenue. Obviously, we're hoping for growth there. Like you have virtual assistants now. What are they like? Do they help you?
So yeah, I suppose it kind of leads on to another thing that held me back again, fear, and stuff like this. So utilizing other people's money. I love it now, but again, I feared it. Amazon are very good at offering loans into your business at really good rates as well.
Hmm.
And this one day it appeared on my dashboard. You can have £30,000 funding for your business, and I just kind of ignored it, and I was kind of excited, and I was like, wow, they're offering me 30 grand. And I'm like, yeah, that's too much. What am I going to do with 30 grand? I've never really had 30 grand, And again, it comes down to, can I spend it? Can I utilize it? And I was thinking, no, it's too much. We'll concentrate on what we're doing. We're doing okay.
Yeah.
Me and my first virtual assistant, we're kind of cracking on. And then I sort of kept looking at it, and it was there for a couple of months. And then I sort of looked at it and I was thinking, maybe if I expand the team, our sourcing is getting really good, and we're easily spending the capital that we've got now between the two of us. If I use that money, maybe I could get another team member, another virtual assistant, and grow faster. And the terms were like over 9 months. And I was thinking, if I could flip this money 5, 6, 7 times in that period,
Yeah.
worst case at 10%, which I would never buy at 10%. We were aiming 20, 25% return
Return on and return on, and just to be clear, sorry, and keep that thought, return on investment, that is for anybody
return on
listening,
investment. Yes.
growing your money by 20, your original capital by 20 or 30%. Keep going there,
Yeah.
Rob. Sorry.
So if we flipped it, worst case, 10% 5 times, that's 15,000 for using somebody else's money. But
Yeah.
if we flipped it more, and for 20%, that's 30, 40,000 potentially we could earn just from borrowing this 30,000.
Okay.
And that's kind of where it grew. So yeah, the fear held me back. Once I thought about it, worked it out, looked at the money, broke it down, worked out what we could potentially achieve with another virtual assistant. And then it
Mm.
turns out we took on another two from then. And then, yeah, really kind of excelled the business. Amazon were coming back with more money as well, and more loans, and better rates.
Yeah.
And now we're in a position. I've got 4 virtual assistants. We did have 5. One unfortunately left for family reasons. So I have one working on wholesale, 2 working on retail, and my very first virtual assistant is now my purchase manager. And to be honest, pretty much runs the business day to day.
That's
So
great.
I don't really have any kind of of input in regards to sourcing and purchasing and stuff like that.
That's awesome. And I love this part of the conversation because for me, this is something that I'm working on in Marketplace Superheroes all the time with our clients and people who are not yet a client. It's like there's this moment when you start out in this business and any business really where there's fear of losing the money that you're putting in. But there comes a moment there, Rob, when that flips around and you actually are starting to say to yourself, no, but how can I get more capital? Because really, I'd love you to talk through that, like your outlook. How has your outlook changed nowadays to when you sort of began your thoughts about money, your thoughts about putting money into this business? Like, what's changed, you think, for how you think about that?
I suppose it's now because I understand the business. I know, we look at the data that's given to us using things like Buybot Pro and analyzing data. It eliminates the kind of risk. And now I suppose that I've done it. It's kind of a no-brainer to me now. If funds are there and the rates work out, then we'll absolutely use it
Yeah.
and utilize it the best we can.
So that 30 grand that you did take, can you remember how many times you actually did flip it in that period of time?
It not really, not exactly, but it would have been
Yeah.
at least six times, at least six times,
Awesome.
and that was
So it
using,
was very
we had our
profitable.
existing capital as well, that we were
Yeah.
spending. So
That,
probably, yeah, at least six times, I'd
That's
say.
interesting. Yeah, that's great. And I think that's the big thing too, that that you're aggressively buying, and that's great. Okay, let's move on a little bit then and say, I mean, is there anything else you can think of? Maybe even now we could even talk about the fact that nowadays, like you're one of the people that helps coach some of our students in our Catalyst program, in our Ascension program. Catalyst being our program for elite level program for our arbitrage slash reselling clients, and Ascension being our elite level program for our wholesale clients. You're doing both of them, so you're coaching both of those students, which I think is awesome. What would you say are many of the things you coach students through that are starting out? Like, what are the typical stumbling blocks that people have that you realize are they're not stumbling blocks actually? They're just like it's a way of thinking. It's a way of I don't know. Like I don't want to put words in your mouth. I'd be interested to see what you hear, what you see.
It could be fear as well from the beginning. They've
Yeah.
the fear of placing their first order. It's almost like committing to the business and getting that ball rolling. And they will come up with, I suppose, excuses to a degree. It's, oh, that's only selling less than 100 a month, look, 100 units a month, or there's only $3 profit in that. That's not really enough. And I'm like, yeah, but $3 times that by 50, and in one line that you could potentially sell, and then if you've got 10, 15, 20 lines selling, these, they add up. And that was a conversation that I had with my brother when I first started out. We were going out, we went out for something to eat, and he was like, how's Amazon going? I said, yeah, it's going all right. I said, I sold my first product. He was like, how much Jamaica? It's like £3. He was like, £3. I was like, yeah. I was like, and
Yeah.
then we met up. We meet up every few months. He's like, how's Amazon going? I said, yeah. He's like, how much Jamaica? I said, I think we made about 1,500 quid this month. He went, 1,500 quid? I said, yeah. I said, £3 add up. When
Yeah.
you've got multiple lines, don't see it as £3. You look at the overall picture. You buy, 10 or 20 of them,
Yep.
they all add up. And as I say, if you've got multiple lines, you're buying, in my business, we have about 800 or 900 different lines at the moment.
Yeah.
And that, they vary from £2.50 profit up to £100 profit
Yeah.
per.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's the beauty of it though too. Like you're so diversified when you start to build it. And I would say as well, like when somebody maybe is starting out on an arbitrage journey or a wholesale journey, we're obviously not talking about private label today. That'll be in another video on the channel. But with two of those, you might be listening to that going, wow, that sounds overwhelming. But like you just said, at the end of the day, you've got to shrink it down to the first £3 or $5 profitable item and get that selling and make your first £100 or dollars. And then it grows from there. And then like, what would you say, for you personally, the growth you've experienced as a business owner? Could you talk a bit about that? Like, how have you grown? How have you changed? Because you're not the same person that started back when you were working with the family business. You were doing this on the side. You're a different person now, right?
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I suppose it's putting that fear to one side. And I suppose it's I don't ignore things anymore. Like that £30,000 that was on my account, I kind of ignored it because I almost didn't want to accept it or look into it. And it's just about, yeah, looking at it and breaking everything down and understanding what it is, and
Yeah.
what the potential is.
Yep.
And I suppose I look for gaps, and best ways to save money as well as a business owner. Things like subscriptions can get out of hand, especially when you're doing well.
Yep.
We'll use this and we'll use that and we'll buy that, and then you sort of don't use it anymore, and you're paying for it each month. So that can be a mistake, and it's a mistake that I've made in business in the past.
Yeah.
Keeping an eye on your subscriptions, they can be not a business killer, but you're paying for things that you don't need month and
Oh,
month.
I know how you feel. One of our businesses, we have an 11 grand a month subscription bill. So I know exactly how you feel. And a lot of those are required, you know? So it's just like that can happen. And that business is obviously multiple seven figures and all the rest, but still it's significant. You're absolutely right about that. So I think that's a good piece of so in kind of wrapping up today, and so grateful for your time, Rob. Like I think this has been great. What would you say are like to someone that's either started into the process or is maybe watching this channel for the first time, they're considering selling on Amazon, what would be advice you wish you got when you started out that you didn't get and you now have the opportunity to provide it to somebody who's just on the pathway, getting started, and they're looking for someone to give them an idea that can just help spark something.
Oh, tough one.
Yeah.
I mean, I suppose, get started, get a mentor, really. I would highly recommend it. I'm not just saying that. I genuinely
Yeah.
believe mentors, do great things. They'll save you, see it as an investment in yourself. They'll save you time and save you money in your business. But yeah, just get out there, take that leap, dedicate, an hour a day to start with, just 1 hour a day, and just even do some research. Just get online, have a look,
Yeah.
and just take the leap of faith. If you want to make change, you've got to make the change.
Yeah, and I think I would just add to that from what I'm just going to unpack. Starting small is a huge thing. And by the way, remember if you haven't started, we have that 100K guide. You can go down below, type in 100K, and we'll get that sent over to you as soon as possible. It'll give you the three different ways you can get started and all that kind of stuff. And also like and subscribe. But yeah, start small. Keep your investments small just to start if you're going into arbitrage and wholesale. If you are doing private label, we have other videos about that on the channel. It's a bit different, but again, the same concepts do actually apply there. We want to reduce down our initial order as much as we can because we want to test the market, you know. So that's really all we have time for today. I mean, a huge thank you to you, Rob. I am really excited to see you hit the million a year, be it pounds, be it dollars, be it whatever. I know it's coming for you, and I'm really excited. And I'm just really grateful to have you as part of our community. So thanks for your time today. And yeah, if you guys are watching, you can meet Rob in our community. He's just such a great guy. So thanks again, Rob.
No worries. Cheers, Stephen.